Welcome to Lesson 2 in Unit 15, Guardians of the Garden. In this lesson, students will work to answer the question, why can't we grow every type of food where we live? In this lesson, students use ingredient cards that show the growing needs of various plant foods for a recipe. They combine this information with weather patterns to determine if the foods can be grown in the Missouri climate or not, and if not, which climate type the food can be grown in. Students figure out that there are different climate zones across the world. Each type of food needs certain climate conditions to grow. Foods can only grow in the climate zone that matches their growing needs. Students make connections to the storyline by learning all plant types cannot be grown in all climates. There are several ELA and social studies cross-curricular connections throughout the lesson. You can look for specific standard connections in the Unit 15 Teacher Guide. This lesson will take approximately 4 days to complete. You'll begin the engage portion of the lesson by asking students questions and allowing them to turn and talk to help each other figure out plant ingredients in their favorite meals. Students may need to research to learn if some ingredients come from plants or not. You'll make a list of student ideas on the board of why certain plants can or can't be grown in your area. Encourage students to respond to each other's ideas. You'll revisit the driving question board and add any new questions and highlight others connected to the learning goals of this lesson by calling attention to questions about why we can't grow any type of food where we live. For the Explore portion, you'll show students an image of a dessert and the recipe and engage in a discussion about the needed ingredients. Once you determine the plant ingredients, students will discuss the climates needed to grow the ingredients. Students will then work in groups with a set of the ingredient cards and the Missouri weather pattern pictograph. Students will also use the Where Does It Grow student journal page to record information about the recipe's ingredients and the climate zones around the world article to find types of climates. For the Explain portion, you'll bring the class together and lead a discussion about students' observations and learning from the activity. Use the provided questions to guide your discussion around the question, why can't we grow every type of food where we live? The goal of this class discussion is to recognize that there are different climate zones and that different types of plants can only grow in certain climate zones. Some plant foods can grow in the climate of Missouri, while others need other types of climates. During the discussion, you will begin to fill out the Lesson 2 summary chart. By the end of the discussion, students should understand that the plants that provide ingredients for the recipe aren't all grown in Missouri. Some of the plants need climates that are warm all year round. During the discussion, you'll have students look at an interactive world map of foods and ask questions about the regions from which different ingredients have come, and talk about the climates of those regions. This is a good time to post the continental climate vocabulary card and the tropical climate vocabulary card. You'll also review and discuss the true-false questions in the Where Does It Grow student journal page. You'll invite students to give examples from the table and explain their answers and use them in the summary chart. For the Elaborate portion of the lesson, you'll ask students to think about and discuss gardens they'd like to create. You'll share with students as a class you can plan a school garden with their favorite foods, but first they need to find out if they can grow in Missouri. Students will use the My Garden Favorites student journal page to make a list of their favorite plant foods. They'll then research each plant food to see if it can grow in Missouri or not and record their findings in the journal page. There are provided websites for researching common garden crop growing capabilities. You'll then bring the class together to design a school garden using their favorite plants that can grow in Missouri. You'll use chart paper to list the ingredients that students figure out can grow in Missouri and design a seasonal school garden. If you already have a school garden, you could propose a plan to expand it to plant some of the students' favorite foods. For the Evaluate portion, you'll have students complete the Climate Zones Quick Check student journal page and the Section 1 post-assessment. To support student sense-making across the unit, orient them back to the driving question board. Ask, did we answer any of the questions on our driving question board? If there are questions that have been answered, remove them from the driving question board and place them on the summary charts. Use this as an opportunity to answer the section driving question, what kinds of foods can be grown in our community? By the end of this lesson, students will have combined information on growing needs for various food types and weather patterns to explain how foods can only grow in certain climates. In Lesson 3, students investigate how frost affects plants. For more information about this unit, visit myscipartners.com.